All right, we begin with our next panel discussion, which is on food tech industry headed towards a new ceiling. I'd like to invite our panelists to please take their seats on the dais. Mr. Karthik Sathuragiri, Director of Field Marketing, Asia Pacific and Japan, Akamai Technologies. Ms. Megha Tuli, founder of Leaping Caravan. Mr. Pushpinder Singh, co-founder and CEO of TravelKhana. Mr. Pratish Sanghvi, founder and director of Grab. Mr. Alok Jain, founder and CEO Yumist. And Mr. AnkitMehrotra, co-founder of Dineout. And to moderate this session, I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Sawhney, co-founder of InnerChef and founder of GSF, to please moderate this panel discussion on food tech. Mr. Jain will be joining us shortly, so we request to start the discussion. He'll be joining us in a couple of minutes.
Hi. How many of you work in startups? How many of you want to start a startup? Awesome. And how many of you have ever invested money in startup? So since it's a small gathering, we can make it more intimate. Why don't the people who are sitting behind come in front? It will be good. So we'll become chatty then. Right. Good. Yeah, awesome. आगे आ जाओ. I'm going to harass the people in the back rows, like the university professor. आगे आ जाओ. Awesome. So we have a great set of people here from different aspects of what is in quotes called food tech, and I will very quickly get started with all of them. I request each one of you to take 2 minutes to introduce yourself, your company, and what you do, right? And then we'll get started.
Hello everyone, my name is Karthik Sathuragiri. I am the Director of Emerging Businesses at Akamai Technologies. Akamai Technologies is a very large content delivery network focused on accelerating and securing websites and applications. That's what we do.
My name is Pushpinder Singh. I head a company called TravelKhana.com. We are the pioneers of food on the move, especially focused on the railways, but then expanding into buses and other categories. I am an engineer by qualification from IIT BHU and Pilani.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pratish. I co-founded Grab 3 years back. Grab is in the business of last mile deliveries. We manage logistics across 12 cities, wherein food constitutes a major part of it, apart from e-commerce groceries. So we allow online platforms as well as offline restaurants and stores to outsource their last mile for efficiency and cost purposes.
So I'm Rajesh. I run a startup called InnerChef. We deliver now in Gurgaon, Delhi, started Noida, West Delhi, very rapidly expanding in Bangalore, and first week of March I'm launching in Mumbai. I also have done a number of angel investments, 50 now and counting. And I have been running an accelerator called GSF Accelerator.
Hi, I'm Alok. I'm one of the founders of Yumist. We are a food delivery player in the daily meal segment. So we are trying to bring quality and convenience into your daily meals. You know what has been catered to so far by the corporate caterers and the dabawalas. So quality, convenience at the right price point is what we do. We are currently present in Gurgaon, South Delhi, and Bangalore, and we'll be joining our friends at InnerChef in the other cities around the same time. Thanks. Hi, I'm AnkitMehrotra. I'm the co-founder of Dineout. Dineout is a table reservation platform. We've been doing this for 4 years. We're present in 8 cities, 2,500 restaurants, seating more than 100,000 diners a month. And last year we got acquired by Times Internet, so we're still building the platform out.
name is Megha. I'm the founder of Leaping Caravan, which is a food delivery service. We do everything from actually manufacturing the food to delivering it. We're focusing on Indian food with a twist. We're trying to revive Indian food as a cuisine. Currently, we're in Gurgaon and in South Delhi, and we'll shortly be in the rest of Delhi and NCR as well.
So awesome rolls, red, green, and good biryani.
Thank you.
Recommend very highly.
Thank you. My InnerChef,
So,
that's great.
so let's get started with you, Megha. What got you to believe that it's a great opportunity as an entrepreneur? And you've been at it now for 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. Is that belief vindicated? And I'll come, I'll get chatty with you, but let's get started.
So, I mean, so I'm from a financial consulting background, from a hospitality background, and after doing about 5 years of hotel valuations and feasibilities, it was just have to do something of my own. And when we started looking, it was just instinctively that I wanted to do something with food. So we actually spent about 3-4 months doing a recce of restaurants and various different F&B business models. And we found that most average restaurants, 80% of their sale is actually through deliveries. So it was a no-brainer to say, hey, I'm not going to spend 80% extra in development cost just to have 20% extra in revenue. And 2 years ago, we didn't really have this whole cloud kitchen, internet restaurant business model, and nobody really understood that. Today, of course, there are so many players, but yeah, I think it's a great business model. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's you can actually, there's no upper limit, there's no capability. I mean, there's no sort of there's no upper limit in what you can do from a delivery perspective. And now with third-party logistic companies that are coming on board, there's no limit on how many deliveries I can do in a day. So
very unreliable.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. That's a separate.
I'm going to take his ass.
Separate topic altogether.
Right, Alok? Plus one, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about your learnings, right? You chose Indian cuisines, right?
Yes.
As your focus area. You, besides your personal passion, what's the logic and what's the implication on kitchen operations and delivery? Because you chose this.
Well, it's not purely driven by passion, because I haven't grown up in India. It's not a cuisine that I've grown up with. But we actually started with salads and sandwiches as a concept, and very quickly said, I don't think this is going to be a very scalable business model. It's not something that I can even, currently even take to East Delhi, let alone any other tier 2 city. So, and you're sitting in a country where you have
See how South Delhi guys look down upon East Delhi.
but you can't.
I was talking to someone today and I said, I traveled from Gurgaon.
Yeah.
It took me 1.5 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
You must have done that. And I was talking to someone on the phone and said, for us people in startup ecosystem in Gurgaon, Delhi is a suburb. See, East Delhi.
No, what I'm saying is that the market for Indian food is greater. So let's tackle that first, right? And you're sitting in India and you have a pizza delivery chain with 400 plus outlets, but you don't have an Indian delivery chain. I mean, look at the opportunity in that.
It's available every nook and corner.
Yeah, but it's, the challenge for us is slightly different to the challenge to probably you and Alok, right? Because you're somewhat creating that market as you go along, right? It didn't really exist too much 5 years ago. The challenge for us is more, how do you move everyone from the unorganized space in Indian food and move them to the organized sector in Indian food? So I think the challenge is slightly different, and I think the potential of Indian food is far greater. At least that's what I believe, which is why we launched with the Indian.
So we'll come back to you. I'll just do it around with the speakers here. How much time do we have? 30 minutes amongst ourselves, 15 for questions. Okay, 30 for us, 15 for question and answers. Right? Yes, sir. Dine out. Our people are dining out more and more, or less?
So actually, I think it's gone up a lot since the last 4 years. So we've been doing this for 4 years. I think the uptick has been phenomenal, and there are multiple reasons for that. Um, as the economy grows, as people get more disposable funds in their hands, as the sort of time spent away from home, as you said, stuck in traffic, things that people are not spending as much time as maybe 10, 15 years back at home, and everyone today wants to sort of dine out because it's easy, it's convenient, and the options there are still growing. So cuisines, different styles of food. So it's a no longer looked upon as sort of a necessity, but sort of now it's become an entertainment option. And as a result of that, we thought that the biggest problem that the user faces when they want to go out. So, for example, we're sitting in CP, and if you want to go out right now in CP, you have more than 65 restaurants to choose from. How do you decide where to go? So that's the problem that we're trying to solve. It's the last minute sort of thing when you decide that I'm gonna head out tonight. Where do you go? So we, as a platform, help users sort of recommend restaurants, make their bookings for them, and also give them a discount, which is not funded by us, but by the restaurants. Um, and that's how it works.
And how's the experience been?
So it's been a fantastic journey. So it's interesting how it started. So I was actually an investment banker based out of London, and I did that for 7 odd years. And one of the deals that I worked upon was OpenTable, which is the largest table reservation platform in the world. Bought out a company called Top Table in the UK, and I was doing the due diligence on that. And so for me, it was more about looking at the numbers and realizing that such a fantastic model exists where you have absolutely no sort of overheads in terms of you're not setting up logistics network. It's the restaurants are already existing. All you need to do is just facilitate the connection between the customers and the restaurant. So we are actually sort of a platform building that, and as a result of that, the opportunity was huge. So after having studied that deal really closely and looking at the numbers involved, that's when actually prompted me to sort of quit my job and move back to India to sort of start it up. And it's been a fantastic journey. So one of the things that we learned along the way.
When did you start it?
So we started in February 2012. So nearly coming up to it's 4 years now. And
When did you get Times Internet into it? They bought you out?
yeah, so we got acquired by Times Internet in 2014. So within 2 years, we were doing some great.
You regretted that you sold out too soon?
So I think it's hindsight is a very important thing, but
When are you locked in?
that's a great question. So so well, it's an option between 2 years or 5 years, depending upon how the business is going for us.
Honest. I can see the face and make out.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, what's the challenge? I've seen when I speak to restaurant owners and the discovery platforms like Zomato attention, right? They like the discovery platform, but don't like working with them, and they feel they get pushed. What's your sense? What are the tension points between restaurant owners and aggregators?
So you're correct. There are a few. So one of the main ones being that obviously a lot of them actually try to control a lot of the ad money. So restaurants try to sort of the aggregators go to the restaurants and say we're sending X, Y, Z traffic, and this is what we're doing, and pay us money. That's important. But where they lacked was that earlier they were not able to show actual footfall. So, for example, for a restaurant, right? Um, they go an online banner. So this was the same whether it's a matter or a time city or whatever. They were doing an online banners and all for 50,000, 60,000. But the fact is that it's actually no proof of how many customers are coming in. The other problem was that in terms of reviews, so we still know today that a lot of the reviews are not authenticated, and 20 of us in this room can leave review for 20 different restaurants without actually ever having visited these restaurants. So we looked at all these problems, and then we also looked at what is happening in other parts of the world. And so the two things that we did was, so our model was not focused upon advertisement. We were a pure play sort of a performance model. So if I send 50 diners to a restaurant, they pay me for those 50 diners. It's as simple as that. So the incentive or the onus is on me to perform better. The other thing is that, unlike any other platforms, for example, for us, only someone who's booked a table and has dined at a restaurant can leave a review at that particular restaurant. So what that does is it adds a complete level of authenticity in terms of, from the restaurant perspective, that no XYZ person is leaving a review, but also from a consumer perspective, when they realize that when they read something, it's actually from someone who's visited before. So it adds that sort of, it's a amalgamation of multiple things which has helped us sort of get to 2,500 restaurants and 8 cities and
awesome. So we'll come back to you. So Alok, you moved from such a discovery platform. You set it up at Zomato, and probably you saw it coming, and you moved to the ordering side and building your own kitchen model, right? So could you, for the benefit of audience here, compare the restaurant aggregation model to cloud kitchen model, and explain to everyone what's the dynamic between the two and why why did you go for fulfillment yourself?
Sure. So, very good question. In fact, something needs to be catered to for a long time, I believe. So, the aggregator model and the full stack that InnerChef is following or Yumist is following is actually very different, solving two different problems, right? The aggregator model is pretty much saying, hey, the 10,000 restaurants in NCR, and it's pretty much a hyper-local business, if you may, F&B. And like Ankit pointed out, hey, you want to finally discover your restaurant and be there, right? So apart from the fact that whether a Zomato versus a Dineout, sends footfalls to a restaurant, that's probably an offline sort of topic we should look at. The problem that Zomato was pretty much solving was saying, hey, you want to dine out or you want to get food delivered to your place, and there are 800 options in Gurgaon, each one of which can deliver to you. Which one do you want to go for? So, hey, can we put filters? Can we put everything that goes through your mind while picking a restaurant and make it easy for you in 2 minutes to discover that place to get food from or to go out and dine? Now, that's the problem they set out to solve, and obviously they got into more transaction-led businesses and stuff. That was from a revenue perspective. Now, the problem that we guys are trying to solve is pretty much saying that, hey, while there are 10,000 restaurants in the city, the customer is still paying in its own particular segment. So whether it's our kind of food or InnerChef's kind of food or fresh menus kind of food or whether it's freshest kind of food, there are on living caravans for that matter, right? So and each one of us are trying to solve a problem, saying, hey, we got to up the quality, we got to up the convenience, we got to give a customer an experience, an end-to-end experience that has been missing so far, right? Now, does that mean that a Zomato or a Foodpanda or Zomato or Swiggy and us cannot work together? Well, it just means we can. We just have to figure out the right way to do it, right? So solving two very different sort of problems, each one of which has its own market size. I mean, if I look at Yumist, at what we are solving at Yumist, I try to look at it this way: that an average Indian eats once in 8 days, once in 8 to 10 days from a restaurant or at a restaurant. He's still got to have those 29 other meals in those 10 days, right? And that's where the price-sensitive market of daily meals comes in, which is what we cater to. And each one of them, I'm sure, would be able to, define a market of their own, which is much larger than what a traditional F&B player is kind of catering to. How does the dynamics work? people saying that, hey, let us get listed on discovery platforms like a Zomato or a Swiggy. There are others who would say that, hey, no, I want to be a standalone app on the customers' uh, virtual real estate, his smartphone, right? We have chosen to be not listed anywhere, saying, hey, we're not a restaurant. At best, our competition is a corporate caterer or a dabbawala. So what's the point being seen next to a restaurant, right? Um, for you guys, it might make sense. I know what the thought process is there, saying, okay, this is the kind of cuisine I'm serving, and the people on Zomato looking for that kind of cuisine, right? So let's be listed. So, well, there are synergies which can be explored, and we got to figure out the sweet spot for both of us in this space. But it's an ecosystem wherein if I don't scratch your back and you don't scratch my back, we are not going to lead be anywhere.
Right. So at InnerChef, we decided not to list on any aggregator. We don't list. For similar reasons, I think it dilutes our brand. We want to stay connected with our consumers directly, and there are benefits that accrue. We don't like this aggregation. Having said that, now let's move to a very crucial part of food business, and that's where I think the dynamic is developing and the rationale is developing for food delivery and food companies, and which logic is something like this, and it goes across the world. More people are now ordering food home or at office than going out to eat, and it's going to accelerate, and it's going to accelerate because look at Indian situation. Even though there is a proliferation of restaurants and choice, it's not easy now, right? It takes me 1.5 hours, 2 hours in the evening time to get to Cyber Hub, and then I have to wait, right? And the life, the lifestyles have compressed. Uh, Husband, wives are working. There's a lot of dynamic, but even bigger dynamic I have discovered is the kitchen dynamic. As the palettes have expanded, as the wonderful food has been exposed to our palates from across the world, the kitchens, what I mean by housewives, husband, or the cook's capacity to meet that palate is static. And that's where the home delivery comes in and plays a big role. So, who gets to deliver that food home? People like you, right? So just talk to us about some of the challenges you face, and I want to talk to you about two issues I face. Uh, Peak time delivery. Food business gets concentrated around noon and 8 to 10 p.m. That's the time we are always short of delivery boys. And especially when I outsource delivery to people like Roadrunner and Shadowfax and all of that, there are a lot of challenges. How do you address them?
So, prior to getting into the answer of this question, I would like to speak a little bit about how the logistics industry has evolved over the last 3 years. So, Grab has been doing this for a little over 3 years, and we have seen the transformation of the cost on the logistics side from what it was in 2012 to what it is now. During those times, 3 years back, I would pay an average rider 8,000 rupees a month. The average revenue from most of the F&B brands would be 60-65 rupees. And at an operating level, we could make profits. What's happened in 2015 and 2016 for various reasons, I think most people are aware about, is excessive funding has really corrupted the last mile, or I would say the delivery market. Whether it's your e-commerce rider or the food rider or much of the blue collar delivery boys, they are making pretty much 2x of what they were making in 2013. The efficiency
15 to 20,000 is the
yes, exactly. Right. So it's 2x from what it was 3 years back.
15 to 10 to 12, 15
Exactly.
deliveries.
Right. Right. Now,
Maps is 100 rupees.
exactly. Now, right. Now, when I look back 3 years back, not a lot of exciting food startups like the ones we have over here existed. Now I see, brands like Yumist, Fresh Menu, Leaping. The price point is
InnerChef.
InnerChef. Sorry. The price point is extremely attractive, right? Great food, good quality.
Now onwards, every sentence need to have InnerChef.
InnerChef.
Otherwise, I'm not going to give you the mic.
I'll start every statement with InnerChef.
No Zomato.
Yeah. So, what I'm trying to get at is that over the last 3 years, labor expense, logistics expenses have gone 2x, but the price point of food remains the same, or to my belief, it's gone down. Like, I find at times my home cooked food more expensive to be made and brought to my office as compared to placing an order at one of the food startups and getting it. The question lies that how does it make sense? How does the cost economics work out? So when I talk to many food tech startups, so just a pre-site is we manage deliveries for over 800 merchants across the country. Food being a prominent segment, and from Zomato to a tiny owl to a food panda to now a Yumist, we manage for McDonald's, Burger King, a lot of these guys, and many food startups come to us and tell us that okay, I want to deliver within X number of minutes, and I am giving a very low price, so my margin is extremely thin, and I want deliveries to happen. Uh, if Domino's can do it, McDonald's can do it, why can't I? Right? And I think the we we kind of fail to understand that the cost that the McDonald's is bearing, imagine a world where they were doing it themselves, is much higher as compared to what the food startups can absorb. They have a larger top line, they have better margins, and even at any given point in time, the cost for logistics for McDonald's anywhere in the range of 55 to 60 rupees. Plus, they charge the customer 30 rupees for delivery.
So, what's the point you make?
I'm trying to get at a point that foods, if you are looking for experienced logistics, right, where you have a peak of lunch and peak of dinner,
you got to pay more.
You got to pay more.
How much?
You got to pay in the range of 65 to 70 rupees, which is not possible because the price point is gone
hold this thought now. We will come to the other issue.
Yeah. And one last point, right? Unlike
hold this thought.
Yes.
Coming to last point. So I bring you in. Your business model is such that I have heard you say or write. You have a cure to bring it to 30 rupees, the delivery price. What's that cure? Why does he believe your partner that it cannot be below 60, 70 rupees?
So there are two legs to delivery in the standard delivery module. It's pick and it's drop, right? Now, owing to the segment, you guys hear me? Owing to the segment we are servicing, the daily meal segment, if we started off from this point that our existing customer base, the potential customer base, has always been used to one choice. If you go to the corporate canteen, stand in a line, you pay 60, 70 bucks, and you have what you have over there. If you subscribe to a tiffin wala, dabba wala, you eat whatever he sends you, right? Now, this space is not much based on choice, like would be the case for Rajesh at InnerChef, right? He's catering to a market needs choice. Yumist is catering to a market which is okay with the lesser choice, right? So if we are dealing with lesser SKUs of 2 and 3, it gives us the power to sort of reinvent how the supply chain looks, how the logistics infrastructure looks for us. So it's a lot of demand prediction, it's a lot of batch processing. Again, doing daily meals allows us to go to a particular office or go to a particular apartment complex and get a lot of orders within the same time slot from there. So it's also boils down to the kind of marketing you do. Now, if I can batch process orders in a particular slot and have one biker take 14 meals with him, guess what I've done to my delivery cost? And guess what I've done to my biker mileage, which is the number of deliveries he can do in a given day. So while a standard pizza delivery chain or any third-party logistics, a biker there would do 10 orders in a day. Ours does like 12 orders in a 3-hour period. That sort of changes the delivery cost for us. Having said that, having your own logistics comes with its own challenges. To achieve whatever I've just said required us to pretty much put 80% of the focus of a food company into delivery logistics. Whereas, that is where we are sincerely hoping that Pratish and the entire industry that he's servicing will actually come up and sort of solve the problems that food companies don't have to solve.
So, good thought, 30 rupees, 60 rupees. I think it could be actually 80 rupees. I disagree with him, but I'll explain to you later. But let me destroy your other argument, right? I think restaurant business is under threat. And I'll tell you why. You go to a restaurant today anywhere in India, it is today 300 to 1000 rupees per square feet. Right? And why do you need to do that? Because you need to get the footfalls in. Need to attract customers. What do me or him or her do? We put our kitchens in 30 rupees to 80 rupees area. Right? When you set up a restaurant, what do? You put 15 to 20% of your area for kitchen. What's your first priority? Customer who's sitting there. What is the capacity three of us have created? 10 times the capacity of a restaurant to serve home delivery. What is the other problem? I give my food at 440 rupees for two. This is my average order value. My food is better than Indigo Delhi. Indigo Delhi prices that food for 1500 rupees. Right? It cannot price the food for 450 rupees because I can. They can't. Why? Because they need to cater to that experience in the high cost. So what's going to happen? The bigger disruption is restaurant business. As far as the home delivery is concerned, will lose that business to specialist players who will beat them because this he's going to go after the value market. She's going to go after the Indian market. I'm going to go after a global Indian market or aspiring middle class Indian kind of market. So if you're building your business model around McDonald's and whatever you said, God save you. Please counter react to this.
So we are not building a model, or my foundation of the business is not deliveries or orders coming from these international QSR. As I mentioned earlier, that it's Zomato, Fasos. We also obviously have an e-commerce vertical that we manage deliveries for. So the volumes, what I'm trying to get at is that the pricing works for them. So if you look at like most of the startups who want to really
pricing work for Zomato or
so
Fasos for that matter.
well, so
Fasos is the average
yeah,
value
it's a hybrid model, right?
Forget hybrid. They price their goods at average order value is 120 bucks.
So in that case, what
you take away 40, 80 bucks.
So
how the hell Fasos business model ever makes sense?
So the way it works is that they are okay with 5 orders of 5 boxes to be picked up in one time and doing a delivery in a very small radius in a quick way. So an average rider of Grab could maybe do 5 orders in 70 minutes. So there, I mean,
fanciful thinking.
I again, as I said, that I don't know what the long-term cost benefits to the food startups are going to be, because from now on, the logistics cost in the country is only going to go up. And till the time you don't create a brand where you can ask the customer to pay a nominal 20-25 rupees, unit economics wise, profitability for both the food startup as well as the logistics guys always going to be bleeding. McDonald's, BK, all these guys are able to charge because of the brand value that they have created. And I'm sure many of the people that we have in the session right now will be able to create a brand value where 9 months, 12 months down the line, they'll ask 15-20 rupees. I think that's where the future is.
Great. So let's bring you in Pushpinder, right? Very different market on the move.
Right.
India moves on Indian Railways. What's been your experience? Give us a sense of who the customer is, what his need is, what's the price point you're able to charge, who are the providers.
All right. So what we really figured out is that people are like going without food, or like they don't have access to decent food, and that's how we started. And I think pretty much everyone knows about TravelKhana, that we are the pioneers. Uh, we started the food on the move market. We are present in more than 150 cities across the country. So we have slightly different problems. Now, what we really have as a problem is that person in the train doesn't have any option. Uh, they don't have a kitchen to go to. They cannot really get down to a platform and eat the food because their timing is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So it's a completely different option. So over the period of last 2 years, what we've been really seeing is what are people ordering. So our average order size has not really varied. It's 2.2 meals. It's about 350 to 400 rupees. Uh, per order size is about 130, 140 rupees. So that's a per meal size. We've catered to about 1.4 million people as of now. And we do about 5,000 people every day. So what we really see is, and the market is right now opening up. Like we've gotten the policy changes done in railways, and now we are on railways. We run our own platform. We're the only platform which is actually going to run it on its own. So what we really seen is that about 10 items people order. And then what we did is that we've actually somehow got access to just eat data in England. And we again saw the same trend that they have 150,000 deliveries every day, and 90% of them are ordering from a menu which is about 8 to 10 items. So what we've really seen is that is an opportunity for us to standardize the experience across the country. And what we are really doing is we are building it a kind of a virtual QSR model. And we've standardized the items, we've standardized the prices, we've standardized the processes around which they should be packed and they should be we've standardized even the restaurants on what the restaurant should have. There is an audit process, so there is an expectation or something that we are already building. And what we are really doing is that we are not really bringing in thousands of restaurants. We have about 500 restaurants right now active with us across these 150 stations.
So
and we'll have
3 to 5 restaurants first.
3 to 5 restaurants, all prepaid. They're going like all prepaid. They give in the order of 30 to 50,000 rupees as a prepaid money, and it works like a prepaid. We don't have to work around to access to
customers don't do COD at the station, or
they do COD, so then they take the money and all that invoicing process is there. But what
who does
is
the
really
delivery?
so the restaurant does the delivery, and what we really realized. So I was a year ago. I was like planning to hit the cities in a aggregator model, and I went to Bombay, and at that time about Tiny Owl was very active in Bombay, and I went to all the restaurants, and some restaurant would tell me that I do 2 deliveries a week, I do 4 deliveries a week, and that kind of a model will ever, I mean, it'll take like years for the restaurants to take any benefit of it, or even a company, an aggregator, to take any benefit of it. So what we realized is that since people are doing these 8 or 10 orders, or 8 or 10 menu choices, why don't we actually standardize it? Why don't we create a model wherein we give economies of scale to these 4 or 5 restaurants? And why don't we have a facility wherein our software routes the largest number of orders to the highest performing restaurants? And since our delivery is always at the same point, at the same station, we have that advantage of doing that. In a small city or in a small like radius, it could also be possible that you could have a very few restaurants working on economy of scale, and and we give the opportunity of like underperforming restaurants to increase their service, and therefore starting to get higher number of orders. So that's what we are really building right now.
Awesome approach. So you said you going beyond the trains now to other opportunities. Can you talk a little bit?
So we like we did a pilot with Make My Trip on buses,
and we really realized what is the bus market, how is it really going to be. So we will be launching in 5 southern cities, South India, like the southern peninsula is the biggest bus market. There are about 32 million passengers who travel in long distance buses, private buses every year. And if I add the the distance roadways, which are also getting into the premium segment, then this is like going to be about 120, 130 million passengers. Added to that, one of the things that we did, we actually very recently did a very interesting pilot. So um, um, I've met Alok in the past, and this is the segment which has always intrigued me. Uh, it has always interested me that these, like, where are people are going to get, where are people going to get those 29 meals a month from? I watch it in my office every day. People order food which is pretty low quality at about 50 to 70 rupees of price point every day. They do it like every day, and there's like 6 menu items that they want to choose from. The office boy goes around the office and he asks, and that's how it happens. So what I really realized is that the quality is very poor, and in order to uh, deliver this on a daily basis at a high quality, the delivery cost is never going to really pan out. It's going to be in the range of 40, 60, 50, I don't know, like 60, 70 rupees. And for that, food on the move can actually be a pretty game changer for that. Because we did a pilot with breakfast at a metro station, and we said that we do breakfast, you get down, you are going to your office, you pick up a good quality breakfast from me, and then you head off to office. And there was a huge demand for it. People were not really used to this kind of a use case, but this is something that we are also evaluating.
Awesome. So, our last panelist, I don't know really why you are here, but I have a question for you. Recently, we set up a new office, and someone put a board there. I told, "Kuch laga do." So someone put a board, and I see it every day. It says, "Food tech is not food tech Can you make it happen?
Yeah, so that's what we try to do. I think we talk a lot about physical infrastructure and your physical world, how things work. We are on the virtual side, which is very important for you, for all of you, because you are all technology enabled. So what we try to do is we make all your apps and sites work the way your customers want to. And what we feel is that performance, if your site or app loads in 2 seconds or lesser, that leads to more conversions, more transactions. So we see that happening a lot. And what we also see is on the food tech side, InnerChef, I'll mention InnerChef because you wanted to.
Absolutely.
We want everybody to say Akamai as well. But InnerChef was one of our first customers.
I was Akamai's first customer in India.
That's great. Thank you for that. So what the conversations from food tech companies we see changing a lot, right? I think initially the conversation was more about how to attract a lot of customers. Now considering that the industry is maturing, the conversation is more about how we can retain more customers, how we can increase the order size of existing customers, how we can make them do more transactions. And that's where a good internet infrastructure, like a content delivery network, comes into play, where you can assure your customers that your transactions will not fail. You can do more in lesser time because everybody is pressed for time. That's where we come into the picture. And we see the space really emerging a lot for us. We have over a dozen customers, and conversations and business models are changing fast in this market. So we try to make the virtual infrastructure work for all of you guys.
So great. Let me just quickly sum up and then invite questions. I think it's a huge market. It's evident, growing very fast. The whole home delivery experience, including restaurant discovery, ordering, booking tables, all of that. So there is a range of different business models which different entrepreneurs are chasing. I think 2016 is going to be extremely exciting. There are challenges concerning delivery, challenges concerning food quality, choice, technology, but I think it's beautifully coming together. Hundreds of entrepreneurs are at it markets. I'm every market I go, I'm looking with fascination how new markets or new customers are being thought and created. Uh, it's a fabulous time for food industry, and its food industry is getting reinvented. Actually, it's taking a new leap. Uh, I seriously believe the traditional restaurant model is under a huge threat. It needs to be rethought. But with that, I invite 4 or 5 questions. Please raise your hand, state your name, and ask the question. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Kirti. I'm from Bangalore and I work for an interactive storytelling agency called Brave New World. I have 2 questions, and while we all spoke about the market and what you all were doing from your end, I'd like to understand how you all approach marketing, right? So I'd come back to what you all were saying about not wanting to be listed in aggregator sites. Well, I get that with what you said, but the current trend, as in, the digital trend, is the fact that somebody wants everything in one go so that they can choose. While it works right now, what happens when you want to expand? Will you end up spending more to create that, kind of reach? So that's the first one. The but I'll just finish that. What I'd like to know most importantly is, how do you innovate marketing then? As in right now the recipe is the same old.
See, the best, and that's my personal best form of marketing one can do, any of us here, is pretty much building a great customer experience and a great product. There's no substitute to that. So I've seen how how InnerChef is going about it, how we are going about it, and and looking at any space, any startup for that matter, the ones that finally succeed, in my experience, are the ones who never really had to spend tons of dollars into marketing money, into doing advertisements of plastering hoardings or radio advertisement, right? So whether it's an early stage or a late stage, uh, have you created an experience to get your early customers to talk about you and get you the next lot of customers? At a late stage, the thousands of customers you have, are they still spreading the word of mouth for you to get you into the lakhs and the millions of customers? That, in my mind, is the only form of marketing one should be does one need to push money into the traditional channels, online channels? Yes. But I'm going to say that mostly comes more from a branding sort of perspective. There's a stage when you want to have a higher recall, a higher retention and stuff. If you have to do it for acquisition, God bless you.
So, just to sort of take a little bit more, खून भरा चाकू और घुसा रहा हूं. So I think the most froth has been created in this restaurant aggregated market, right? And that's where the most funding has gone, and that's where they've blown most money wastefully out. And that's why, because the discovery market consolidates very fast. You're not going to have 5 discovery apps. You're going to have 1 or 2, right? So that's one part of it. Whereas you can have different people in the cloud model creating different markets and engaging with the customers deeply. Like in our company, we have this just focus on customers, not on competition. We don't even talk about competition in our company. So just to echo Alok's point, the obsession with customer has to be paramount, not obsession with competition. The second is, what do these aggregators bring to a restaurant? Really speaking, if you see the restaurants that really work, they really don't need these aggregators. They anyway full, right? Who is using them? The restaurants that really don't work. Got it? And then this leaky bucket phenomenon. They anyway don't work. You get more discounts. Aggregator also gives more discount. He has money from investors. Restaurant also gives more discount. And customer gets a sucky experience, then he talks badly about the food, and it's a downward spiral. Good brand should escape a downward spiral. It should be in good neighborhood. If you're in a bad neighborhood, you bound to suffer the consequences of the whole customer experience. So that's why we taken a call that we want to create a new experience. I think Alok is taken a similar call, but it's for everyone's choice. I think you've taken a different call.
We've taken a different call because we use the model, for example, in the beginning. It helped a lot, right? But we've pretty much gone back to, you have to understand food is a slightly different product than others, right? Everyone's not like. And I think the best form of marketing for food is word of mouth. I mean, for us, 90% of our customers are repeat customers. They come back 14, 15 times in a month, you know. That tells you a story, right? Of course, the focus is why are the other 10% coming back, but you know that fight is always going to be there. But I think we've gone back to the age-old thing that if you have a good product, make people try it. That's it. It's very simple. Do an outreach, make people try it. If your product is good, they'll come back. That's all you need to do. At least that's what we've done.
I think also from a restaurant perspective, what's important is to sort of, so for example, for us, everyone talks about the customers and customer acquisition and everything, but the important fact is that if a restaurant tells the customer to book through Dineout, for us, that's a very powerful channel. And I think that's happening because we're trying to solve one of the biggest problems in the restaurant industry, which is today, as you mentioned about these restaurants which are always full. But the fact is, those restaurants still today do not know their customers. So you have 10,000, maybe 10,000 people walking into a restaurant a month and spending maybe tons of money. But at the end of the month, when someone wants to look at the numbers, they have absolutely no idea who are those people coming and spending the money. And that's a problem that we're trying to solve from a restaurant perspective. And for them, that makes a lot of sense. And we have a lot of our restaurants telling their customers to, it's easier to book through Dineout because it saves a lot of hassle. So imagine a situation, it's 1:30 and you try to call 4 restaurants to figure out if they have a table available or not. And probably it's peak lunchtime and they wouldn't probably just have the time to answer your call. So, it's also about the experience, about how you actually reach a restaurant as well. And they realize that what we're trying to do over there is just help them sort of take away all these ancillary troubles from their head so that they can focus on customer experience when a customer walks in. So we get a lot of our restaurants recommending their customers to just book through Dineout. It just saves them a lot of time and hassle.
I think experience is key. A good concierge in a hotel is able to get you a table. Even if most not available New York restaurant, he can get you. Any other question? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zaid. So, referring to like a pre-food tech era where a restaurant would only, deliver in a certain radius because, outside that radius, it would not be feasible for him to deliver that certain transaction. And now when a food tech company comes in, he is able to deliver outside that area. And even now, if you see, look at that transaction, a part of that transaction is taken up by that food tech company, and that is the reason that that transaction becomes feasible for the restaurant, but not an overall.
No, actually, I don't agree with you. I think the area remains the same. It's just that the coverage is more. Like he doesn't have the ability to market.
Like in terms of physical presence, do you see like a survival of a restaurant and a food tech company together, or if you can call a smart restaurant sort of a, which has its own tech enabled, that sort of a space. So is physical presence as important as outreach?
Uh, I don't think so. I think physical presence caters to a different kind of need. It will be required. It would be required for different purposes. You need to create. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a high street. It will always be the physical model. But what I'm trying to say is the physical models have a problem dealing with the home delivery market. And as home delivery market differentiates, they will beat them, right? They will take larger share of that market. This is the point I'm trying to make.
So, just like to add to Rajesh's point, so 2006 to 2011, we were running this restaurant in Bangalore, and High Street, 100 feet road, and when we went in, the rentals were pretty much within sort of the limits to say we could make 35% month on month sort of gross margin. Ran the place 4 years, 5 years, and then suddenly real estate happened. Costs went up 3 times. Anyone who's been to Bangalore and seen 100 feet road, it suddenly came up, right? And the cost went up 3 times. Similar story applies to every locality in a metro. Uh, if not now, it's going to come up in some form or the other tomorrow. And suddenly the 35% gross margin F&B business of dine-in doesn't make any sense. And I have seen being a part of Zomato, being a part of the restaurant F&B industry for a long time. My co-founder having founded 11 restaurants across India on his own. Together we have seen the mortality rate of F&B in the traditional sense hit by real estate. So, will physical space be required for people like us? Obviously, yes. But the challenge of high rentals is something that we are managing to avoid so far, and that's why we are able to scale up so quickly versus traditional F&B.
Yeah.
I I also wanted to add. Yeah.
Just once. Anyone from organizer, we can take two questions. Go ahead, please.
Right. So I wanted to actually just say that what kind of restaurants are we talking about? Like either it's delivery only, for which you don't really need a high speed street space. And then there are restaurants like, for example, divas. Like you you've got to like celebrate your anniversary, and you've got to go, and then you will want to have that kind of an experience. So for that, obviously, there is no replacement. You cannot really order it from like uh, on the go restaurant kind of a thing. So the restaurant space that is under threat is the one which is the middle tier, like the one between this, and that's which where the largest big amount of threat comes from companies like InnerChef and Fresh Menu and all sorts.
Good. You kept up with the brief. Please.
My name is Anshul. I just wanted to ask something. A mix of both, you know, the ever developing the food truck industry. You know, there are no bylaws, of course, as of now to govern the business, but we know it's a very big business outside, where restaurants try to reach up to you. From personal experience, I see a food truck which during the race station.
Question.
So how do you see this industry evolving, and
Food truck.
yeah, the food truck industry evolving and bringing?
We recently bought a company which had a food truck. So we're doing an experiment, trying to learn what this beast is. So the situation is this, that almost in all cities there is nebulousness about its regulation. Right? So one side you need kitchen related licenses, FSSA and others. Other side is the hawker license. Right? So you can take a hawker license, you can also take kitchen license, but still there is a gray area whether you covered or not. So I think regulation always in India comes later. When the industry gets formed, that's where the regulatory part is. And the regulation part is about putting your food truck on street. Right? So there are other issues with food truck regarding fire and safety. But if I own a food truck, I can always take it to private premise. For example, where he lives, we bring a food truck to the condominium, and where he works, let's say Jabong, we bring a food truck there. So we're doing this experiment. I think this, and everything I've met with food truckers across the country is primarily in a very experimental, nascent stage. We don't know how it will move out. A lot of this will depend on the regulation. Right. One and then I'll take. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hello, yeah. Bunch of people who was laid off and all. Like, it was so popular. We never thought a brand like Food Panda has so much automation issues. I mean, which is more of a tech kind of issues. They were taking orders of restaurants which were closed down, and everything is smoothly. Whole cycle was going out so fine, and with so famous founders and all also.
I, I, I think the answer of your question lies in the day that we see today. There are issues, there are struggles. So I think brands such as this or any other entity, not just Food Panda per se, where processes are not in place, the period of survival is very limited, and that's what we are now. So I think
That was an automation, right? Automation of taking orders, and whole cycle was complete.
well, that's
done
that's
from
on
both
the
sides.
that's on the surface, right? At the back end, what really happens? There are too many layers. An aggregator kind of forms towards. So in the back end, what really happens is something you or me are not privy about.
You mean it's not real-time upgradation of all what are getting
Absolutely.
closed down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So back end, it's a smoke screen.
I think in many of these companies, backends are broken, especially on the last mile. This is the issue you're raising. This is a genuine issue.
Okay.
And investment is required, mind share is required, processes are required. For example, he has not aggregated 500,000 restaurants. He's taken a call 3 to 5 restaurants per station, so it's manageable. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so that's the virtual model. So we've actually seen that there, as I said, that only 8 or 10 or 12 items that people order, and if they are ordering that, then why not really standardize on that? So we've standardized the menu, we standardized how the restaurants are going to be managed. We're helping them take FSSAI and all the regulatory approvals. And we are actually taking from one gateway. So we actually built our own gateway. We, being a tech company, we built our own gateway. Now we are moving into an app-based model, which wherein they have the apps and then that's how they integrate. Uh, there is, in addition to that, an automated IVR. However, having said that, there is operations play, and this operations team are really traveling all across the country and the cities and everything. And there may be like a gap in terms when you actually have 50,000 restaurants and you have to like are in a pressure of showing larger and larger number of restaurants, then there will be a lot of things which will actually go missed, and there will be audit issues, and there will be so you need to really put in those processes.
Absolutely. Like if the restaurant is not getting one or two, 5 orders a day from you, he's getting orders from 7 sources. Customer चिल्ला रहा है वो टेबल पे खाना नहीं जा रहा. So all those gaps have not been thought through by most companies.
Or your like restaurant supply team is under pressure to really bring in so many restaurants, so they would end up creating these kind of issues. So those kind of issues are things to be solved.
Hi, I'm Shruti Gochwal. I'm one of the founders of Zapfresh. My question is directed towards InnerChef. So what I want to ask is that you have one kitchen serving entire Gurgaon. So the delivery range can be anywhere between 1 kilometer to 20 kilometers even at times. So how does the cost pan out in those cases? Because even 50 to 60 rupees won't suffice for that
No.
kind
So
of distance.
see, 2016 में कुछ हो गया, बढ़ते जा रहा है order. So we are going to set up another kitchen in Gurgaon, right? So this is how startups work. You create a coverage area, you take extended coverage area. We tell those customers we cannot serve so fast. But as you start growing, then you have to start moving more kitchens, because the trade-off is this: you want to reach your food to the customer in a shortest possible period of time. But also you are a startup, you have certain capex, you cannot invest in like McDonald's can do, लगा दो 50. फिर
I'm
देखेंगे
trying to
customer
ask
आएगा.
that, is there any alternative to setting up another kitchen because the capex and even the opex is really high once you do that.
No, there is no alternative. If you want to control the customer experience, you have to do it, and the good way to do it is by creating a good customer experience and creating demand for your brand. Like, we get pinged from all over the country now. कब आ रहा है इनर शेफ, लखनऊ में कब आ रहा है, वेस्ट दिल्ली में कब आ रहा है, नोएडा में कब आ रहा है. I say wait, it'll come, it's all right, we'll get, and it's a good thing, right? McDonald's came to India after so many years. It started in US, so demand got built here. McDonald's चाहिए, McDonald's चाहिए, तो ठीक है, InnerChef भी आ जाएगा, right? तो थोड़ा वेट कर लो.
I'm just trying to assess the delivery cost.
So delivery cost, obviously, as you go longer distance, there is higher delivery cost. It's delivery cost is higher because of also the rider takes longer to get there and come back. So it's not just the cost issue; the bigger issue is experience issue. Right? So cost and experience both matter. So obviously, a city, good, like if you think of Delhi, you can have 50 kitchens, right? But it doesn't make economic sense to set up 50 kitchens first. You start with 3 kitchens. We have 4 now. We will expand more as we go along. So we are conscious of that. I think everyone is conscious of that.
Yeah, can I actually give a secondary sort of point of view to that? Is it possible? Yes, there are models around the world which are doing that, having one kitchen per city. Yumist actually has the one kitchen per city model. So we
I believe you have a fantastic model, just 2 SKUs, and you can
yeah, so it boils down to that. What are the number of moving parts you have in a business? How many levers are sort of interplaying with each other and all that? So 2 SKUs does wonders for us. It allows us to do better demand planning, having food next to the customer before he's about to order, and us knowing that okay, he's going to order. Obviously leading to challenges of wastage if we had to do something like that. So if you think about it, there are models which are actually similar to like a 7-Eleven kind of cold supply chain model, right? Likes of Hola Chef has actually brought in the cold supply chain in Bombay and all that, and they're doing a one kitchen per city model. So are there models? Yes. Does it apply to every segment? No. So it's got to be that, hey, I mean, in a chef kind of food, for example, they won't want to even foray into that because they want to, prepare the food closest to the customer because the ingredients behave that way. Ours is more kind of bulk kind of food, right? So, I mean, if I was to take a very traditional example meals, providing food for midday meals. They give sambar chawal and sabji for like 7 rupees to the government, and they produce 70,000 meals a day. And this food from one kitchen is transported across villages in Karnataka, and it's not just like one city like Gurgaon. So it's pretty much the truck going overnight, and the kids having their food next day for lunch. So does the technology for that exist? Yes, it's age-old technology being used in F&B, right? The food, for example, you have in your flight was actually produced 24 hours before from that one kitchen, right? And it's supposed to be the safest form of cooking food, for example, right? So are there models? Yes. Will they see existence in India? Yes. However, it's going to depend on the segment.
Thank you very much, everyone on the panel. Enjoyed meeting and great questions.